my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Set, guys. You got me a cigarette?
The dread pirate Steve be in no man's debt. I'll make a barter with you, true's the North Star. In exchange for your
Put that
kindness,
shit on a t-shirt.
I'll be splitting me buried treasure with you. Once I find it, that be.
Come on, underachievers. Come on, all you underpass believers. We'll give you the skills for street living. It feels pretty great to just give in. So just give in. Dropouts, repeat offenders. We'll take the weary, weak, the street bartenders. Show them the best times are on the street. Satisfaction through the thrill of defeat. Ain't it sweet? Once you stop yourself from caring about all this stuff, that's when you want to start sharing. Cause all the things we want are cheap or free. I define success as not working, and I live like a king.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of American Voice Podcast. I am your host, Ken Woodward. We had a Voiceless with me and Frank a couple days ago, and I think the point of emphasis on that podcast was that we were going to have our issues with the general election, and that would be it. One last what the fuck happened, and then we move on. And with this episode here, will be the same type of format. I'm going to comment on the general election and then put it behind me, because at this point, The people out in the streets right now are protesting in cities like Dallas and Chicago and in other cities of major points of interest. It's senseless. It's not accomplishing anything more than showing stain that we already are all aware of. You can yell, scream, bitch, holler, take to the streets and say Donald Trump's not my president. That's fine. But guess what? Yeah, he is now. So the accomplishments you're going to make there is nothing more than staying and utterly being upset. And I'm hoping that most of the people who are doing these protests are people who voted for Hillary Clinton, who people who went out and voted and made their conscience well known. And I want to also defend the people who are now being the hatred is being turned toward as far as staying this the independent voters who voted for not Donald Trump and not Hillary Clinton, but Jill Stein, Gary Johnson, or others. They're not the reason, folks, that Donald Trump won this election. I wish it could be that simple. It would be, I guess that would make it, at least easy to figure out. As for the last 10 days, a lot of us have trying to do. We're trying to figure out how this happened because all the polls said it wouldn't happen. The media said it wouldn't happen, and it happened. I could generalize it myself if you want me to, if it would appease you. The group of people I'm looking at right now that concern me the most about how this election turned out is not the people who voted for Jill Stein or Gary Johnson, not the people who voted for others besides those two. The people I'm concerned about are the people who are swayed by the linchpin, so to speak, of the media, who gave us the false impression through polls they trusted. I'm not going to lay the media out to dry here. They trusted the polls. They did their job. The polls said Hillary was going to win, maybe not quite handily, but she had a confident lead going into election Tuesday. So what happened? Well, Hillary, as we've, I don't know how many times me and Frank have discussed this, the problem with Hillary is she's not trusted. She is the establishment. And in a time when we all can kind of agree that establishment has not done the job for the people whom they were solely elected to represent, and in this case, the Democratic Party and Barack Obama, that the people felt a change was needed. But obviously, that change that was needed was Bernie Sanders, but that didn't happen, and we were left with Hillary Clinton as a Democratic nominee, an untrustworthy person who's been involved in some scandals. And with the help of the FBI in Russia, those scandals were amplified at probably the worst possible time they could have been. Because when you look at the other side of the coin, the flip side of the Democratic Party and Donald Trump, whom I think couldn't have done a worse job of campaigning, couldn't have done a worse job of representing his point of view, because we never even discussed really his point of view. We didn't discuss his policies. We discussed the election is rigged. They're all against me. I'm your voice. I don't have to tell you what I'm going to do. It's going to be secret. But believe me, I'm going to do a terrific job. So the question in hand here over these last 10 days that have been trying to be hashed out by all sides, not just Democrats, the Republicans are trying to hash out, how did Donald Trump win this election. And the only thing I can come up with is a series of events, four things that are the main focus of the events that put us in a situation where we're walking into the polls thinking that if we voted for Donald Trump, it wasn't going to matter because Hillary's going to win, or if we voted for Jill Stein or Gary Johnson, it wasn't going to matter because Hillary's going to win. All the polls led to us to believe there's no possible way that Donald Trump could win. And how that happened, these four events I'm about to discuss with you in slight detail, I'm not going to go deep into detail, are the probably the main points that we should be looking at, not only now after the fact, and now as I'm about to discuss with you before the fact. This is something that we have to consider from now on with every general election that occurs in this country, and something we should definitely focus on making sure it doesn't happen again. Doesn't happen again. The first issue of this election general election that we obviously all agreed upon for the most part, well, these were the two most unpopular candidates in the history of both the Republican and Democratic Party. These were the two most untrustworthy, unliked candidates in the history of both these parties running at the same time. That right there is an element for surprise, or whatever you want to call it, volatility, as the markets would like to call some things that happen when the stock market goes up unexpectedly when it shouldn't, and goes down unexpectedly when it shouldn't. Volatility is a major factor, and the first point I want to make, the volatility of that both candidates were not the best we had to offer from each party. And the second element would be the trustworthiness issue that was brought up so many times. In fact, I think we focused so much on the untrustworthiness of Hillary that we kind of let it kind of equal, or equal out the corrosiveness of Donald Trump and his many statements he's made, and the way he's treated women, and the way he's acted. Period. Somehow got canceled out by the dislike and untrustworthiness we had with Hillary Clinton. The third thing was the media's coverage of the election from the very beginning, the early stages when Donald Trump announced his intentions to run. The free campaign, the free advertising that this gentleman got, and I say that lightly when I say gentleman, he basically got to run a campaign without having to spend a lot of money on campaign ads, because we spent so much time, the media did, of addressing this candidate. I don't think there's been a candidate in the history of our country that's got much press time as Donald Trump. We're not talking about just blurbs and bleeps and little what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't just some things that he said that we pay attention to. The media went out of its way to air in its entirety his stump speeches and his rallies, and even after that, even furthermore, his rallies having the events they had with people being kicked out and people being told to leave, and the incitement of violence that he so danced around so well, put even more emphasis on the media's coverage of these rallies. At the point in time when you had Hillary on the other side, um, the enthusiasm just wasn't. It wasn't the fact that the enthusiasm wasn't there. There was a kind of a dullness to it. I don't know how to describe that exactly. Kind of a the media wasn't really concerned and gave you more of Hillary stump speeches and her rallies as I believe some blurbs and meanwhile Donald got full attention. I'm not sure how to describe that. The other item of interest to me was the fact that it was assumed by the media so often, especially in the later stages of the general election, the polls. And again, I give them some leeway. They're going by the polls they're seeing. And if you report by what you see the facts are. And the facts are in front of you, and it shows Hillary is leading by 6-7 points on average. You're apt, as Rachel Maddow, who's been thrown under the bus. I don't understand that one bit. Don't understand how she got thrown as. She was just doing what all the other reporters were doing, especially on the liberal side, reading the polls and basically reporting it as they should. That Hillary was comfortably ahead, and Donald was imploding. MSN itself having articles less the week before the election on Donald's staff imploding and people getting fired or looking as though they were in total disarray. There was no indication. The point I'm making is that there's no indication otherwise to believe that Hillary, going into Monday, November 7th, was comfortably ahead. Comfortably ahead. Then there came the other element of all this, the element of the FBI and Russia. Maybe in cahoots. Can never be proven, that's for sure. But both sides definitely did their share of damage to the Hillary campaign, with the email scandal being reopened conveniently just days ahead of the election. And Russia, of course, using WikiLeaks to expose some emails that were very, very, very they were violent. They were violent against Bernie Sanders. They were showing Hillary as we all have kind of read in the media over the course of the last decade or so. The Clinton machine, the political machine of the Clinton machine, eating anything in its way and spitting them out. And her complete displeasure that Bernie ran a campaign on promises that were just impossible to keep. And somehow the American people were buying this and making it difficult for her to do what she wanted to do, which is to thoroughly and completely defeat Bernie, which she couldn't do. And that's the ironic part of the situation to me. Here she was running against this guy who was a socialist Jew, who was presenting a case for policies that could never really be fulfilled without some amazing, there have to be some amazing movements and some amazing efforts. And in her emails that were released by the WikiLeaks through Russian pressure, I believe, showed this utter disappointment she had for this gentleman running against her on these false promises. And the ironic situation of it, of course, being that she would eventually run against someone else from the Republican Party in a general election, whom kind of did the same thing, which is what Donald did. He basically ran Bernie's campaign on steroids. He's made promises he cannot keep, folks. If you think the wall is going to be built and be paid for by Mexico along the borders of these two countries, you're sadly mistaken. If you think he's going to deport 3 million, 2 to 3 million immigrants, alien, even if they're illegally here, on day one from his office. Good luck with that. If you think he's going to tax the wealthy the share of taxes they deserve, something he campaigned on, by the way, good luck. Not going to happen. He's going to ban Muslims from coming into this country temporarily. Not going to happen. He's going to repeal Roe versus Wade. That's a court battle that would take so long that he would have to be in office for more than one term to execute that. Not going to happen. So all these elements working together with one common element, which is what I'm going to try to come back to. All these elements I just discussed with you all worked with one common element. And that common element was the media. And I've seen the hate through these protests. And some of the hate isn't just reflected at Trump. There are some out there who say, if I find somebody who voted independent in our protest group, I'm going to stab him, and got like over 1,000 likes for saying that on Facebook. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. Because they're not the ones if you look at percentages, yes, this election had a higher percentage than normal for independent turnout. But you can't just say that all the people who voted for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein or others would otherwise have voted for Hillary Clinton, because the fact of the matter is this election was lost because the media gave everyone this impossible, obviously, completely incorrect ideology of this election, that Hillary was comfortably ahead on November 7th, and you had a whole bunch of people out there who didn't want to vote for her. Well, they didn't want Donald to win, but they didn't want to vote for Hillary. And if you ask 9 out of 10 non-voters that day on Tuesday, November 8th, if given that opportunity to vote again, to actually go out and vote, not to vote again, to actually not have the stance of, I don't want to vote for Hillary, but I don't want Donald Trump to win. But they had such an intense distrust for Hillary, and intense. I don't know if her personality rubs wrong with people. I think it does. I think she knows that. But you can't change your personality overnight. You have to be who you are when you're running for the highest office in the country and possibly in the world. How do I put this? The election was lost by Hillary, by the people who decided that I cannot vote for Donald, obviously, but I also can't vote for Hillary. But the media is telling me that even if I decide that staying at home is a protest vote in a way, to say that neither of these two candidates can I vote for. But I knew that even that way, Hillary was still going to win. Then I've exercised some sort of protest vote by not voting for Hillary, but understanding that it wasn't going to make a difference because she's going to win. If that makes any fucking sense. Well, obviously now, 10 days later, it absolutely makes no fucking sense, does it? Now, if you're a person who thought like that, I don't know how you feel now. I'm sure you feel frustrated, pissed off, and like, yeah, an easy target would be independent voters and say, it's all your fault, not my fault. I was, or Rachel Maddow and the media. Yeah, there you go. Don't blame yourself for not voting. The first thing I said when I covered this general election on my PLP podcast turns out to be the most important thing that no one listened to. A, vote, no matter what. No matter if you think you're voting for someone who you don't really trust or someone who's not really the person you really want. Most importantly, vote. And secondly, vote for the person who best represents your beliefs. Said that a year and a half ago. Like a year ago. It was way back at the very beginning, shortly after Donald Trump announced his intentions to run for presidency. After that escalator ride down, that's when I told you folks, vote. And even if the person you're voting for isn't your best option, fine. But vote. Vote for the person that best represents your beliefs and what you believe this country should move forward toward. And if you've done that, I believe enough of you would have said, as much as I don't like Hillary, as much as I don't trust Hillary, and she's the establishment, and the establishment has left me behind, I know for sure that Donald Trump is not the answer. And as much as I like Jill Stein, as much as I think Jill Stein's a great candidate, she's not qualified, and she's not ready to run the country. And Gary Johnson's just a complete kind of neighbor. He lived next to me. He was my neighbor. I slapped him in the face because he's a smartass. You'd have voted for probably Hillary. Would have liked it. May even had your right thumb and your middle forefinger over your nose as you did it. But it was important for you to make sure that the person you least thought was qualified to be president of the United States was not voted in. And that's all you would have done. So don't blame these frickin' independents. And don't threaten to stab them at protest while you're going to an anti-Trump protest, which I'm already telling you is a complete waste of your time. You're not putting your efforts in the right place. Don't blame them. Blame the people who didn't go out and vote because they were sure that that would be the protest vote necessary to show that they had such hatred toward the process and how it had left them behind. But hey, won't matter because at least Hillary will be voted in. That's what the media told me. So I'm cool. I'm in a win-win position. I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for her. No, because he didn't vote. Guess what? We got him. We got him. A president-elect who is truly, actually, unfortunately for those of us who are independent, may go down in history as the first independent to win the presidency. He stole a party, much like Bernie tried to, unsuccessfully. He did successfully steal a party, and he actually is an independent in the White House. This is a recipe for disaster because not only will the Democratic Party not support him, his own party is still arguing over whether they should support him or not. The jury's out on the Republican side. They're not sure. You'll have the kiss asses like Giuliani and Christie and Cruz, Bonner, whom are going to get positions because they didn't they didn't abandon him at a time when he felt the party had. But there's still a whole bunch of people out there in the Republican Party embarrassed, concerned, and looking to do whatever it takes to ensure that their values are not overrun by this independent, not a politician. We can go on that for a long time about the dangers that face Donald Trump, basically based just plainly on his inexperience and his combination of inexperience and the combination of inexperience and still this person who's been used to being in charge, who walks into a boardroom, he's the chairman of the board, here's how it's going to be, here's what we got to do. I can get into that a little bit later too. The reality whip that's going to slap across Trump's face on January 20th is going to be one that I'm not even sure he's ready for. He's just getting now a smell, a little taste of what's in store for him, and I'm sure that even someone is experienced in business and someone who's been all over the world, talked to several people, several businessmen over the world, and is used to being the head honcho, doesn't understand yet. That's my half-hour intro. More to come as we evaluate, substantiate, and try to move on past an event in our history that will probably be going down in history books as a turning point for reform in measures that our country has always kind of been stuck with because of the Constitution and the political system we put forth. I think the beginning of the change that will be necessary, and sometimes changing our government, which is outdated, which we've kind of become, has to happen with radical takeover. Not so much takeover, radical seismic rumbles. American Voice Podcast, episode 10 is on.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
An Arabic proverb attributed to a prince who was betrayed and decapitated by his own subjects.
Still, it's a hell of a quote.
So I started out my intro with kind of trying to explain what happened a little over a week ago. And there's so many avenues to go with this. There's so much stuff to discuss. It's not funny. Just to start with Bonner being Stephen Bonner being put as the chief strategist for the Trump transition is mind-boggling, and probably at least a 3-hour discussion of very ridiculous and esoteric viewpoints and much disappointment. And if you're expecting Donald to do something that won't disappoint you over the course of the next 2 months, I could appreciate your optimism. And you look over the course of MSN and MSNBC, especially the liberal networks. This what do we do next attitude that has replaced the how does this happen attitude, and that's a common and good step forward. We can lament on how we lost this election for the next 3 years if you want. It's not going to do us any fucking good. We'll do more harm than good, actually. What we have to do now is move forward from this. I tried to explain to you what I thought caused this, which was an overconfidence kind of the media gave people to give them the right to say, I know I don't want to vote for Hillary, so I don't have to, but she's going to win anyway. So it's kind of like I get what I want without having to actually put myself out there. On the FBI and Russia doing their job of trying to sabotage her campaign at the very time when it seemed she had momentum for the debates. We can go through the whole thing of her untrustworthiness, with people having a problem with that, and all of that. It's just stuff we should just sweep under the rug because it's all dirt. None of it's good. You're not going to get anything out of this crap we've listened to for the last 10 days, positive, to keep with you going forward. So just sweep it under the rug. It's all dirt. It's all mud. It's all crap that we don't need to deal with. There's nothing you're going to get positive from it. And you can sit out there on the streets and protest and say he's not my president. I didn't vote for him. But it's not going to change anything. Change has to affect now is the movement. And that's what this podcast is going to be about from this point forward. We're not going to joke around no more. We're not going to have spin-offs or crap like me making fun of TV series. We're not going to have jokes anymore. This is serious shit from this point on. And I think that's what you people really want, is serious shit. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be pandering to the correct group of people. And what group of people right now are the most pissed off would be people who are going to be immediately impacted by this election. First off, the people who are on Obamacare, 20 million people. I mean, we're all concerned. I'm definitely not going to say it's a mild issue about people who could well be deported from this country. That's 2 to 3 million people. Well, let's talk about 20 million people who are about to lose their health care. I think that's an issue that's more important. And it's probably the one economic issue that gets kind of swept under the carpet itself, under the rug itself, because we're all concerned about the American worker and how much they're making, and the income equality gap. But it really all boils down to health care, folks. It does. If our health care program is not running and helping the people it needs to, and doing its proper due, so to speak, nothing else fucking matters. It doesn't. If you're finally making the money you deserve to make in this country, working for companies that to this point deprived you of that.